Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Power Network. I'm Amy. Today, we're looking at what's going on at sea again. Another death on a Caribbean cruise, this time involving 18-year-old Anna Kepner on the Carnival Horizon. And nothing about the situation is adding up. And while we're here, we're also taking a look at the newest developments in the Amy Bradley case because there's been some movement there too. I'm rolling the intro. Shout out to my Power Replay crew and the Power Crew keeping us alive in the algorithm. I love you.
Cavalier's drumming his old guitar again. Words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I would steal them and fly away with you for a while. Hearing the essence of gratitude, your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the
Here in the essence of gratitude, it's so good to be back here with my Power Crew today. How's everyone doing? I thought we would set sail and go back on the journey when I saw that there was another death at sea. I needed to update the Amy Bradley case anyway. I thought I would do a little combo where we talk about the new death that happened and update Amy Bradley. Has everyone seen the Netflix docuseries Where is Amy Bradley? We have a whole playlist on the Amy Bradley if you're interested in the series, if you're interested in her case. I will put it in the YouTube show notes. Actually, everything that we view today, I will put down in the YouTube show notes. We will often start things, stop things, talk over it, not read everything in its entirety, but for fair use and to cite our sources, we'll put everything over in the YouTube show notes. So if you're interested in what we're watching and you want to know, that's where you can find it. If we could just start the algorithm dance party that I like to do and just warm up your fingers and dance them right up to the hearts and thumbs up button, helps us go out into the algorithm party out there, bring more people back. It's just a free way to help us out, and it's really, really appreciated. Let me get my screen all situated. Share my screen. So we're going to start off today. Let me find it. Introducing the new case to you. Oh boy. All right. There she is. Hold on. Sorry. StreamYard has been making a lot of changes lately, like a lot of changes. So it's made its thing really glitchy. Also, we are streaming both vertical and horizontal over on YouTube. So if you're on the vertical and you don't like it, you can move over to the horizontal and vice versa. So what we know about Anna Kepner, this is a Carnival Horizon death. She's an 18-year-old from Titusville, Florida. She died aboard the Carnival Horizon during a Caribbean sailing. The ship returned to PortMiami on November 8th, where the FBI opened an investigation. Carnival says they are cooperating, but no cause of death has been released. Anna had recently taken the ASVAB and planned to join the military. She was described by her family as bright with a hopeful future, and there's no ruling yet on foul play, accident, or medical cause. This is Anna. This is the ship that she was aboard. So, just for visual purposes, because I know I'm a visual person and I want to know, like, I want to see it. I want to see. I want to know. So these are some pictures of the ship and of Amy. ABC News did a story, and the passenger who died on the Carnival cruise ship identified as 18-year-old family says, "Good morning, everyone. I see people rolling in. Hi, Carrie 28. Good afternoon. Actually, it's afternoon. I'm used to doing these in the morning. And hi, Kim. It's so good to see you. Thanks for being here. And thank you for being my woman in blue." So the family of 18-year-old Anna Kepner, who was reported dead while aboard the Carnival Horizon cruise ship on Saturday, said they will remember her as a happy, bubbly, straight A student with a bright future ahead. Anna, who was set to graduate from high school in May, was traveling aboard the ship en route from Miami to the Caribbean when she died. Details surrounding her death have not been released. The ship returned to Miami on Saturday, where the FBI since opened an investigation into her death. When she walked into a room, she would light it up. Her family told ABC News, if you were sad, she'd make you laugh. She would joke around and be the funniest little person in school. Carnival Cruise Line confirmed her passing in a statement saying, "Our focus is on supporting the family of our guest and cooperating with the FBI." I bet you they're really doing, like, I would imagine after Amy Bradley case, which Amy Bradley is the case that the woman went missing in the 90s off the cruise. And like I said, there was a Netflix docuseries, and everybody's looking for Amy Bradley now, and everybody sees how horribly the cruise ship handled it and the shady people all aboard it. So I just wonder, but then, I don't know. There's this whole thing with being out at sea, and there's these cruise safety protocols where there's supposed to be CCTV coverage worldwide on the ship. There's medical staff, there's security teams now, there's incident reports, but there's like all these complications when a death happens at sea because there's the jurisdiction, and it depends on the flag state location, the victim nationality, and the port involved. And there's the scene may be cleaned or changed before. We don't know if that's happened. That happened in the Amy Bradley case, where the scene was cleaned before they even investigated it. Evidence, as we know, can be lost at sea because these little ships are like mini cities. Bodies may be moved. The FBI or outside investigation often board days later. So there's all these things that happen on the ship that makes it seem very chaotic. Her family says they're still coming to terms with the loss of her. She had just finished taking the test to join the military. The family hopes Anna will be remembered for her generosity and spirit, and she was deeply involved in her community. And so the family just wants her to be remembered for the sweetheart that they knew her to be. We're going to go ahead and take a look at Law and Crime. The Law and Crime Network has teen found dead on the Carnival cruise, everything we know. So we're going to get updated with that. Looks like these two lives going FYI. They're going FYI. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Sorry. Looks like these two lives. I don't know.
expected to soon graduate high school, taking a trip on a cruise, is dead. The FBI is now investigating as her friends and family remember a girl who made others around her happy, a straight A student and varsity cheerleader. What we're learning from authorities as what happened to her and who she was with continue to be a mystery. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
Hey guys, we are going vertical and horizontal over on YouTube, so you can choose either or, but it's showing up as two separate streams. I hope they change that later. I hope like you can just eventually just click on it and then choose if you want vertical or horizontal. But right now, over on YouTube, they have this new feature where you can stream both ways. And I'm just trying to see which way people like, because the last one I did both ways. It's like neck and neck. Both of them have gotten about 1,000 views. So I don't know which one you guys prefer, but there's that option there for you. And today we're actually streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So Instagram, we're vertical. Facebook, we're horizontal. And over on YouTube, we're both.
Before we get into this episode of On the Case, I need to talk about our partner and sponsor, the app Upside.
We're going to move it forward. If you want to look at the sponsor, it will be in the YouTube show notes.
Carnival cruise ship. This is the girl at the center of this story, 18-year-old Anna Kepner. Her family has confirmed that her body was taken off the cruise ship called the Horizon when it returned to the port of Miami on Saturday, November 8th. Now, according to WSVN, that was the date that the ship was slated to arrive back at the port after a trip to the Caribbean. Now, I did reach out to Carnival Cruise Lines for comment on this, and they did confirm the FBI is investigating this case. Now, before we get into the details of what we know about what might have happened on board this ship, here's what we know about the girl who lost her life. Anna Kepner is from Titusville, Florida, which is a community on the Atlantic coast of Florida. It's along what's called the Space Coast because it is close to the Kennedy Space Center. Now, Kepner went to high school at a place called Temple Christian School, and that's...
Yeah, YouTube has a new feature where you can stream both live and vertical. And so it will send actually 2 lives to your channel. And if you're on the vertical one and you want to go horizontal, then just go over to the other live. And if you're on the horizontal and you prefer vertical, then just hop over to the other one. I can't control it. It sends out 2 lives. And I'm just trying to figure out which one you guys like best, because like I said, I did the same thing yesterday and it sent out 2 lives and I got about 1,000 views on each one of them with a combined total of 2,000 for the live that I did. So I'm just trying to figure out which is best for over on YouTube, because it's actually recommending that I do it both ways. So just let me know which one you guys like.
School posted a tribute to her on social media. That tribute reading, quote, "You are a bright, kind-hearted young woman whose presence brought warmth and energy into the classroom. Your curiosity..."
It is confusing, so hopefully I explained it a little bit better that time.
"Your gentle spirit and the way you cared for those around you made a lasting impression on me and on everyone who knew you. I will miss you poking your head in my office to say hello, and that turning into a fun 15-minute conversation. Losing you is heartbreaking, yet I remain grateful for the time I had with you and the privilege of you becoming part of our TCS family. Your absence will be felt every day, but your impact and the memories you created will continue to live on in our hearts." That was written by a teacher at the school. Now, we also found these pictures of her car in her senior parking spot at the school, where that will remain for the rest of the year.
Actually really sad. She just had her whole life ahead of her, and her little car is parked there in her senior parking spot.
Now, her family described her to ABC News as a happy, bubbly, straight-A student with a bright future ahead. Her family said that Anna had just finished taking a test to join the military after high school. Her family explained that she was in gymnastics at a young age, and then she went on to be a varsity cheerleader. So she had so much going on. According to ABC News, Anna loved the water. She even had a boater's license and scuba certification. She reportedly loved spending time with friends, shopping, and makeup. Her last TikTok was this picture posted on October 30th. Now, we know this wasn't her first time on a Carnival cruise ship. This is a video that she posted in May of this year on TikTok on a cruise with the caption, "I want to go back." Now let's talk about where we are.
I just am so not interested in cruising, and I'm really not interested in cruising after discovering all like covering these Amy Bradley and now this case
in this investigation, and where we know that Anna was for the several days leading up to her death. Anna set out on a cruise aboard the Carnival Horizon. This is a massive cruise ship, one of those that's like a city on water. This one can carry about 4,000 passengers. The ship sailed out of the port of Miami, and often it goes to Caribbean destinations like Jamaica, the Cayman Islands.
I guess because I'm not into drinking. It gives me horrible migraines, and it just seems like a big party. And I would love to be part of a big party, but maybe not in the middle of the ocean. But maybe I'm not looking at it right. Also, and this is all just my opinion. These are all like my research. I urge you to go out there and do your own. If you don't agree with me, or if you think otherwise, it's not an argument with me. Everybody can think how they want to think. But I know it's like bad for the ocean creatures, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm just so not into it. But I love going on small boats and being on the water and stuff like that. Like, I'm a water baby. So I don't know why the whole cruise thing doesn't interest me.
Mexico. And we found online that they're advertising 6-day cruises out of Miami. It's unclear how long she was on the cruise ship for. It is a ship that's been in operation since 2018. And per the blueprint that was put out by Carnival on its website, the ship has 15 decks. You can just tell how massive of a cruise ship this is. It is unclear at this point where Anna was when she died. Now, it's also unclear what kind of stateroom she was staying in. And another big mystery to this is we have not been told yet whether she was traveling with anyone or who that person might be on this cruise. Now, we do know that her body was taken off of the Horizon when it returned to the port of Miami. There's video that's been posted by WSVN showing that online, but we yet to have details on how she might have died, when she was found dead, where she was when she was found dead on the ship. I reached out to Carnival Cruise Lines for a statement. Here's what they told me. It is, at this point, all that they are saying, quote, the death of a guest traveling on the Carnival Horizon voyage that returned to Port Miami on Saturday morning, November 8th, is being investigated by the FBI. Since this is an ongoing matter under the jurisdiction of law enforcement, it is up to the FBI's Miami Public Affairs Office to provide further details. Our focus is on supporting the family of our guest. Now, the FBI has yet to release a statement on this investigation, at least at the time of this recording. They have not said whether they believe foul play is involved in Anna.
So that's like an intro to the case. There is an updated video that they did that I want to take a look at. That's 5 chilling details from the teen cruise ship's death timeline. So I thought we could look at that. It's this was just released 16 hours ago.
Right now. How did a straight-A student, a varsity cheerleader, an 18-year-old with her entire life ahead of her end up dead on a Carnival cruise ship? We know the time of death for Anna Kepner and when the medical examiner in Miami believes she died, but there are still so many questions left unanswered. We're talking to a coroner about what goes into determining key parts of this mystery and what could happen next. We're on The Case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Hey guys, real quick, before we talk about
Gonna move it forward.
over what actually goes into an investigation like this, what could go into an autopsy, how does an autopsy tell us what happens to someone when they die? But before we break down that part of it, I want to talk about what we know so far in this case. What you're looking at here is video that was taken by Sheldon Fox, who's a reporter with WSVN TV in Miami. And it is video of a body being taken off the Carnival cruise ship named the Horizon. This was on Saturday, November 8th. It was then transported to the medical examiner's office in Miami-Dade County, where they have released some very interesting pieces of information that we're going to talk about in just a moment. Here's the girl, though, that we need to focus on when talking about this case. Anna Kepner. She was just 18 years old. She was a high school senior from Titusville, Florida, which is a community along the eastern coast of Florida. It's east of Orlando. Her high school has her car parked in her senior parking spot as a tribute right now, and that car will remain there for the rest of the year as a memory of who Kepner was. Her family told ABC News in what they say will be their only interview for now that Kepner had recently taken a test to potentially join the military once she graduated high school. This was a girl that had so much going on.
There's so many Florida cases that I put up I put up a little quick questionnaire to see what case you wanted me to cover next. And for our Florida Woman Friday, we have got the neighbor next door. There's the Eileen Warnos. And then there was this, she's from Titusville. So it was really hard for me to pick the next case to cover today because I wanted to save one for Friday, but yeah.
Investigation like this, the Carnival Horizon. We're talking about a massive cruise ship. This can carry roughly 4,000 passengers. I mean, that's the size of a small town. It's a floating city with 15 decks. So people, of course, can have an incredible experience on board as they vacation and go to different places in the Caribbean, like Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Cozumel, Mexico. And then on board, you have a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars, a lot of places for people to spend their time during this week. And I'm sure all those places are being looked at by the FBI to try and figure out what happened to Anna Kepner. Now, we know through Anna's TikTok that this was actually the second Carnival cruise that she went on this year. This is a video.
And when I first saw this, I felt so sad because I was like, oh, she didn't even get her braces off. Like, she's so young that she still had her braces on, and she was like, I don't know what happened to her, but she passed away. It's so sad.
That she posted in May of this year on a cruise with the caption, "I want to go back." It appears on that cruise, she was with members of her family. But again, as far as this cruise, we don't know who she was traveling with. I did reach out to Carnival Cruise Lines for a statement, and this is what they sent me. Quote, "The death of a guest traveling on the Carnival Horizon voyage that returned to PortMiami on Saturday morning, November 8th, is being investigated by the FBI. Since this is an ongoing matter under the jurisdiction of law enforcement, it is up to the FBI's Miami Public Affairs Office to provide further details. Our focus is on supporting the family of our guest." I also reached out to the FBI. They have yet to get back to us, but they have confirmed to other media outlets that they are involved in investigating. You heard Carnival say that in their statement to us as well. But beyond confirming that Anna Kepner died, they aren't saying much more. Now, let's dive into what we know at this point about this investigation, because according to the Miami-Dade Medical Examiner's Office, and this was a big part of this case, Anna's death has been determined to have happened the day before the ship returned to port on November 7th. The medical examiner lists Anna's time of death at 11:17 in the morning on Friday. That, of course, is a very specific time, 11:17 in the morning. Dr. Rutherford, the coroner who I'll have on in just a moment, we talked a little bit about what that could mean. Now, it is unclear how Anna died. They know
it does sound very specific. I'm almost thinking it's a like a rug death, but and the murmurings I've heard is like they're saying they gave her too much. So if it sounds like they might be going that way, but it's just murmurings I've been hearing.
It appears her time of death, but the cause of death has yet to be released. The FBI also just has yet to comment on this case, and they haven't said whether they believe foul play is involved in Anna's death. Her body has been handed over at this point to a funeral home near her hometown where she will be laid to rest. Initial autopsy results have not been released, and it could take several weeks for final results to be made public. That's per FloridaToday.com.
Do they make you be vaxxed now that I thought, because I was talking to somebody the other day, but maybe it was flying, because I asked, do you still have to be vaccinated to fly? And they were shocked. They were like, did you ever you had to? And I'm like, yeah, I was sure about during COVID, because I was like, yeah, I don't want to fly if I have to get vaccinated. But you have to get vaccinated to go on ships. See, another reason I don't want to do it. I don't trust that vaccination. You don't have any interest? Yeah. Yeah.
So if this is accurate information from the ME, that Anna died on Friday morning just before noon, and it wasn't until about 24 hours later that ship returned to port in Miami, it's unclear when her body was found and what condition it was in and where it was found on board the boat. Now, the FBI says it is in charge of looking into suspicious deaths of U.S. nationals, but it's important to note, just because the FBI is investigating this doesn't mean that...
I just feel like they made that vaccination a little too fast for my comfort. And I also feel like if they made it so fast and it's accurate, then they unleash that stuff on us. So either way, it's like troubling to me, but yeah.
There was foul play involved. Now, they have not yet used the term suspicious officially in this case, but on its website, the FBI says the authority of the FBI to investigate criminal offenses and enforce laws on the U.S., on cruise ships, on other vessels on the high seas, or within the territorial waters of the U.S. depends on several factors, including the location of the vessel, nationality of the perpetrator or victim, and we don't know if there's a perpetrator in this case, ownership of the vessel, points of embarkation and debarkation, and country in which the vessel...
It looks like she's doing arts and crafts on the ship. I would like that.
is flagged. It does go on to say, generally, the U.S. has jurisdiction over crimes committed on a ship if the crime occurs within the maritime jurisdiction of the United States and the vessel is owned in whole or in part by a U.S. person or company. Additionally, there is jurisdiction over crimes committed by or against a U.S. national on board a foreign vessel if the crimes occurs during a voyage having a scheduled departure from or arrival in the United States. Now, ships like the Horizon, again, they're massive. And the cruise line has its own security team on board the ship. And the company also has corporate security who communicate with the FBI about any potential crimes that happen on board. In fact, one of our experts earlier this week, a former FBI agent, said a lot of former FBI agents work on cruise lines in the corporate security space. Now, on its website, Carnival says it has invested billions in the last decade on security on its ships. And quote, all ships are also monitored 24/7 in a state-of-the-art fleet operations center at our headquarters in Miami. In addition to electronic monitoring of all ship systems, the FOC is staffed by technical, marine, operations, and nautical.
So they obviously have better monitoring than they did for when Amy was cruising back in the 90s, which is a relief. I feel like this is going to be solved faster. Well, I mean, do you think the Amy Bradley one's going to get solved? I hope it will. I mean, I feel like if it doesn't get solved now, because it's gotten so much worldwide exposure, it's never going to get solved. But I really have hopes for Amy.
Experts to provide troubleshooting and problem-solving resources to the ship's captain and leadership team. Now, it's unclear what kind of cameras they had on Anna the night that she died. Now, I want to keep reiterating, because when you search this case online, you see a lot of speculation, a lot of internet rumors going around about how this young girl.
Okay, see, that's good. I didn't think that. I thought they had lifted it on the airlines, so it seems like they would have done it on the cruise too, but other countries and stuff, I didn't know. So Jen says no, you don't have to be vaccinated. I mean, I've not vaxxed, but I've flown way too fast. The pandemic, yeah. I'm not getting vax either. I never do with the flu. Yeah, I don't do any of the vaccinations. I've considered doing the shingles because I think I got the chicken pox later in life. I got them when I was in my 20s. So I'm a little bit afraid of the shingles, but I still haven't done that. And is that New Kids on the Block cruise? That is so crazy. We were in my when I went to college, was it my freshman year? We were so into the New Kids on the Block that even that Christmas, my roommate bought me a New Kids on the Block doll. I was a Joey fan, which was crazy because he was like 13 and I was 18. That's crazy now that I think about it, but he was just so cute and I loved the way he sang. That's funny. That's funny. Wouldn't matter now.
May have lost her life. And the truth is, the FBI is only confirming that Anna has died. We do not know anything about her cause of death at this point or what may have happened on board this ship. And again, the FBI hasn't said whether they believe foul play is involved. But if foul play is involved, it's important to note that that would be incredibly rare on a cruise ship. Now, the only information that we could find on that is from a blog called Luxury Travel Diva, and it cites information from the Cruise Lines International Association.
There were 3 of us that liked it. I liked Joey. One friend liked Jordan, and God, I forget the other one's name, but I know he's anyway, I forget the other one off the top of my head, but I know his brother's famous too. But and then they went to the concert and they lied to me. I know they lied to me. They said that they met him, but I know they lied. To this day, they won't admit it, but we met up in our 30s, and I had a brunch and I tried to get it out of them. I'm like, I know you lied to me. I know, but they wouldn't come clean about it. Maybe they will later if I have another one 20 years from. Well, it's like 20 years later, so.
That says there have only been 15 deaths due to violence on cruise ships since the year 2000. So that would be incredibly rare if that is the direction that this investigation goes. Now, we are seeing some posts by people who say they were aboard the Horizon the day that Anna died. There's one woman who was aboard the ship who wrote on Facebook, quote, "We were hit with the emergency call that morning, but never did we expect to learn of this tragedy." Then there's another traveler who writes, quote, "A young 18-year-old girl named Anna Kepner was found deceased on the ship we were on, the Carnival Horizon. On Friday at around noon, as we were sitting in the Havana pool area, we heard the medical emergency called out over the ship's intercoms." Now, if her date is right, that it was on Friday that Anna's body was discovered, what happened between that point and then the time that the ship arrived back at PortMiami on Saturday.
Well, they probably put the body down below somewhere, I would think. I was thinking, like, when this started, if you were a passenger, it would be a little weird feeling to know that you were cruising around with a dead body aboard. But I mean, when you fly, you never, there could be a dead body down below and you just don't know it.
As so many questions surround her death, we are seeing so many people pay tribute to this girl who lost her life, a girl with such a bright future ahead of her. In their interview with ABC News, Anna's family said that she loved the water. She had a boater's license. She was scuba certified. She reportedly loved spending time with friends, shopping, makeup, as typically teen girls do. Her family described her to ABC News as a...
I would have fell over myself if you got to see Salt and Pepper. Still to this day, I would fall over myself to see them.
Happy, bubbly, straight-A student with a bright future ahead. Her family said Anna had just finished taking that test to join the military after high school, and her family explained that she was in gymnastics at a young age, and she went on to be a varsity cheerleader. Kepner went to high school at a place called Temple Christian School, and the school has posted several tributes to her since her death. One written by a teacher that says, quote, "You were a bright, kind-hearted young woman whose presence brought warmth and energy into the classroom. Your curiosity, your gentle spirit, and the way you cared for those around you made a lasting impression on me and everyone who knew you. I will miss you poking your head in my office to say hello, and that turning into a fun 15-minute conversation. Losing you is heartbreaking, yet I remain grateful for the time I had with you and the privilege of you becoming part of our TCS family. Your absence will be felt every day, but your impact and the memories you created will continue to live on in our hearts." Joining us now to talk more about this investigation and where it could go from here is Dr. Nada Rutherford, the coroner for Richland County, South Carolina. Thank you for your time, as always. With investigations like this, where we're still waiting to learn more information. One part of this investigation that seems to be a real sticking point, which we're waiting for what's coming, what could come next, is the time of death that the Miami-Dade medical examiner lists at 11:17 in the morning on Friday, November 7th. What does that tell you?
Well, the specificity of that time is really interesting.
I feel like what it's telling me is that she did rugs the night before and she didn't wake up. Like, they went to get her up at like 11 or whatever, because like, why isn't she up yet? She's sleeping her cruise away, and then they found her. That's what I'm feeling. But then it's got to get into like, where did she get the rugs, right? Like, who did she get them from? Did she bring them with her? Did somebody on board give her? Was it a worker? Did she get it at a port? What do you guys think?
To me. So they either have more information than what we have at this time to be able to state specifically 11:17 a.m. Normally, when we do a pronouncement of death, and especially if it's the next day that we're discovering the body or in contact with the body, we're going to give an estimation like, oh, between 9 and 11 a.m. or between 10 and 11 a.m. whatever that time frame is, because we may not know exactly. So this tells me that either they have direct line of communication, either with her phone, whoever was last known to talk to her. The timeline that led up to that 11:17 is going to be very important. And I think that's how they have this specific time.
And, it's also important to know, we don't know on this cruise ship, which it's one of those massive 4,000 passenger ships. It's like a floating city on water. We don't know where her body was found. Was it in a stateroom? Was it in a restaurant or a pool deck? We don't know. But could the 11:17, so that also could mean, let's just say if her body was found in whatever position, when someone found her, it was at 11:17 in the morning. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's her last breath was 11:17.
No. Exactly. Unless they have cameras. So if they show her, I had a really weird case one time where a girl went in, she's seen on camera and she just lays down.
We know in the Amy Bradley case that the door measures the time of when you enter the room, not when you leave. But I bet you they do it now when you leave too. But so we would know when she went into the room to go to sleep. So I think that's what it is. What do you guys think? Let's move on and look at the Amy Bradley case, the updates we have for her. Let me get my Amy Bradley. So this is a 1998 disappearance, and after the Netflix series Amy Bradley is Missing, there's some new leads that have surfaced in the case. But for those that might not know the case, I thought we would do a little intro. Amy Bradley vanished at sea 27 years ago. Here's why her brother will, oops, that's not the one I wanted. What happened to Amy Lynn Bradley inside the 23-year-old's last moments before vanishing on a cruise ship? So Amy Bradley went on a cruise ship with her family to what seemed like a tropical paradise and never came back. Amy disappeared from a Royal Caribbean ship on March 24th, 1998 in Carousel and has been missing ever since. The 23-year-old had been dancing on the Rhapsody of the Sea nightclub with her brother Brad, as well as other passenger, crew members, and members of the ship's house band. In the early hours of the morning, she and Brad both returned to her family suite. Her father, Ron, saw her sleeping on the cabin's balcony, but about half an hour later, she was gone. Myself and my parents have had to endure a lot of sadness, but the last thing that I have ever said to Amy was, "I love you," before I went to sleep that night, Brad said in a video released by the FBI. Knowing that's the last thing I said to her has always been comforting to me, which I imagine that would be a huge comfort. Since her disappearance, there has been several alleged sightings of Amy, though none have been definitively confirmed. The Netflix docuseries Amy Bradley is Missing premiered on July 16th and revisited the long unresolved case, offering more insight in what could have happened to the recent college graduate. And like I said, we do have a playlist, so if we dig more deep into the possible people involved in the case, the motive, interviews, I'd say we've got about, I don't know, like, and I'm really bad at guessing these things, maybe like seven lives, 7 videos, something like that. So if you're interested, we're going to do an update today. There have been a few updates on the case, but just to give you an idea, a little picture show. This is Amy Bradley. This is what she might look like today, a sketch. This was the boat she was on. This was the Netflix docuseries, Amy Bradley is Missing. So. Amy Bradley's brother, Brad Bradley, went on WTVR and did a really amazing interview. We took a look at it, and he came back 7 days ago and did an update. So we're just going to look at the update. Some of the updates that I've noted is that there was a significant website hit was traced to a device near Barbados. There's a new witness, a female bar server, that says she heard Senorita kidnapped the night Amy was vanished. There's reports suggest a possible child connected to Amy, which I've said that like it could be a Stockholm syndrome, or also it could be a situation where I've read that they force these people, once they're in trafficking, to have their babies so that they control them by controlling the kids, because they know they won't leave the kids. The case remains open with the FBI. The Bradley family continues to pursue answers. So those were the major updates that I found.
Several weeks, I had trouble sleeping. I couldn't fall asleep. My mind wouldn't stop.
Hey guys, be sure to give this live a thumbs up for me. It helps me go out into the algorithm. And if you like my content, be sure to share it. Share it to whatever platform you're viewing us on today. We're coming to you on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
That sense has improved a lot. But yeah, it's been very emotional. I think we haven't had as much hope as we have now in a long, long time.
It's been a whirlwind few months for Brad Bradley. Back in July, the Chesterfield man sat down with us to talk about the mysterious disappearance of his sister aboard a cruise ship in 1998. Ever since the release of a Netflix docuseries about Amy Bradley, the family has been bombarded with tips, sympathy, and offers to help. but also some harassment. Now, Brad is back in the Untold studio to provide an exclusive update on what has developed since he joined us last. Brad, thanks for coming back.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me back.
How you doing?
I'm all right. A little tired. Been a long day, and usually I think our first interview was I wasn't at work. So
Something playing in the background?
I was a little bit more refreshed feeling, but I'm doing all right.
Yeah, you're juggling a lot of things.
Yeah.
So the documentary and all of the interviews that have followed have definitely stirred up a lot of conversation / tips. Tell us what that's been like. What's the volume of kind of dialogue on this now?
Well, the volume of tips is a bit overwhelming. It has, there's I haven't counted them, but there's between the email tip line and the phone line, I mean, it's thousands and thousands from everywhere, and we literally have 2, maybe 3 people manning all of those things.
Wow.
And separating them into subcategories and important versus not.
Okay. My Gen X mind is like going, isn't it amazing how much he looks like Amy Bradley, but like older? Like I imagine, I don't know, they look so much alike to me. Like I imagine that's exactly what Amy Bradley looks like if she's alive.
And all that kind of thing. So, there's a lot that's happened. There's a lot of things that along the way through social media, people bringing up things or sending pictures or, different questions that have since been ruled out. And there's a lot of things that are going on right now that I can't speak on directly, but we're working on several different things that are credible enough to need to follow out.
Be investigated. Yeah. Prior to this documentary airing and you having these conversations, I mean, how can you compare the level of, conversations in your day that involved Amy from then to now? I mean, are you sort of constantly on the phone, constantly taking text messages? I mean, it's kind of like, are you getting bombarded?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just to give you an example, today, aside from seeing patients all day and working since 7 o'clock this morning, I've been on the phone with an ABC Hulu producer who is requesting a new documentary style show in short order. So we're dealing with that. I spoke with the Director of External Affairs with the Attorney General Jason Miaris' office today. I spoke to my mom about.
Interesting. Hulu might be in on it, doing another Amy Bradley. We might get more information. We're going to take a quick look at a video where, how the big to-do was that Amy supposedly told her parents that she was gay or bisexual, or I don't know, I think gay. And the parents were so outraged that a lot of people say that the dad pushed her off the boat or that she jumped off the boat. But there's an interview that's come out with, apparently Amy had a boyfriend too. So the boyfriend at the time has come out in an interview with Brad Bradley. We're going to take a look at that too. So it's a little messy and sticky.
4 or 5 different things.
No pun intended.
That are happening today.
Or maybe pun intended. I don't know. Whichever.
I spoke to an individual who we are working with now in a different capacity as far as, an outside authority that I can't speak on here. So, yeah, I've had about 5 different things. I spoke with Representative McGuire's aide just before I showed up here today about some help that he's planning to give us. And
I mean, you're running out of hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you feel good about that?
I do. I feel really good about it. Anything that, all those things I mentioned, a year ago, none of it would be true, and we'd be, just going about life, not having a whole lot going on. But the fact that the interest now, I guess we're approaching, or 3.5 months out from the show having come out, and I still feel like we're picking up momentum. Not so much with social media interest and engagement. I mean, that has kind of simmered down a little bit, thankfully, because that was probably one of the more overwhelming aspects of what I've been dealing with over the past few months. But yeah, it's very encouraging and exciting, and we have a lot of a lot of different things we're juggling. And not only me, I mean, I do certain things and I talk to certain people, and then we have 5 or 6 or 7 other people who are juggling different.
Do they have timestamps in this? No. Let's move it forward.
We have since found an interviewed who denies everything
regularly and ask for updates. And then, a couple of times these articles have actually
yes, you can see comments on both the vertical and the horizontal. It's set up a little bit different, and I'm really hoping that with the vertical they change it, because it's really hard to set up the screen so that it looks good on both. I can't set my vertical screen up and let it go and then set the horizontal. I've got to kind of put it so that it looks fine on both. So I don't know. I hope they fix it.
Caught me off guard. I mean, I've saw it and been like, oh, Brad didn't tell me that, they discovered X, Y, and Z. And then I kind of have to catch myself and,
I thought the same thing when I read the articles.
Yeah.
I'm like,
right.
Where's
nobody
this?
told me. Yeah.
So, you get excited at the first glance and it's like, oh my God.
Once you get a layer,
forward,
once you get a layer or two down in the article, you realize there's really nothing, no meat on the bone. But how many times have you had to sort of say to a reporter or someone calling, no, that's not true. No, that didn't happen.
It's got to be 100.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's within the past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
There was an article that came out in the Hollywood Reporter, and I spoke to the journalist who put that article out. I asked him who his source was, who he wouldn't share with me, and I respect that. But there's been some question as to who the heck he's talking to, because nobody on our team, we've asked everybody, unless we got a mole in the group that's trying to stir up some trouble, when nobody knows anything about it. So there was some mention of the story where Elizabeth Lewis, who unfortunately we still have not yet been able to find. She's the third eyewitness who testified in the grand jury that she saw Amy in yellow come off the elevator from inside the Viking Lounge. And later, I think it was either the following day or the day after Amy's disappearance, she was back in there. A young girl came out from behind the bar yelling, "Senorita kidnap." And then the bartender, who we have since found and interviewed, who denies everything, basically forced her back behind the bar, away from where Elizabeth Lewis was apparently sitting. So this new article says that girl has come forward and has spoken to investigators. I don't know who's investigators, because we don't know who she is. We don't know where she is. I don't think there's any truth to it, and we still don't know where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, there was an AI generated YouTube video. Now the reporter denies ever having seen the video, but the claims in his article, which came out the Monday preceding his Thursday article online, which we already had to refute repeatedly, kind of echoed the same claims in that video. So I don't know. I haven't heard from the guy since, but yeah, there was a claim in there about.
Interesting that he is talking about AI, because one of the issues that's hindering the case is with AI.
The story of a Chesterfield woman who vanished aboard a cruise ship has captivated the country. Now we're learning about new developments in the case. In the latest episode of Untold, a WTVR podcast, Brad Bradley returns to give host Katie Beck an exclusive update on the search for his sister, who disappeared while the family was on a cruise in 1998. Amy Bradley's story is now the subject of a popular Netflix docuseries. Since it was released in July, Brad says the family has received numerous tips and offers to help, but he says they've also had to police a lot of misinformation online.
There's another article that came out a couple of days ago, and I think, again, it was an AI-generated thing, probably prompted by somebody who doesn't have anything better to do, that says that there was another girl who had been trafficked, who had spent some time with Amy, who has come forward and had Amy's silver college ring from Longwood in a box that Amy had given to her, and all this stuff. And it goes on to claim my parents are different ages than they are, much older. And and it goes as far as to say my parents and our attorney have come out and made a statement. Not true.
Terrifying stuff. This and all episodes of Untold can be found on WTVR.com, our YouTube page.
So it sounds like all this new AI stuff is becoming a real issue, which, I mean, it makes complete sense that it's becoming an issue, because isn't it becoming an issue everywhere? I saw today there was this news report saying that AI is now overriding human shutdowns. Like, it's putting in the code, backup code, hidden code to override that if we try to shut it down. And they went down to like percentages, like, so then they did a kill switch, and then the AI was going around the kill switch, and so they did something new to it, and even then 7% of the time it's going around the humans. So I think we're in trouble. But anyway, getting back to this. So here is, this is, I think this is the AI generated video that they're talking about.
Think back to that haunting image from years ago, the one that surfaced online, showing a woman many believed was Amy. Now, imagine that same face appearing again, in a totally different part of the world, but just when investigators thought Amy Bradley's case was finally about to be solved, a new clue appeared, one that changed everything. This single piece of evidence has completely turned the case upside down and left everyone, including the FBI, in utter disbelief. How did this new lead come out of nowhere? Who is the mysterious woman that vanished this week in South America? And why are witnesses saying she looked terrified before disappearing? If this woman truly was Amy Bradley, then someone out there has been hiding a terrifying secret for over 2 decades. So what really happened? Is Amy Bradley still alive? Or is this another cruel twist in one of the most haunting mysteries of our time? Stay till the end, because what you're about to hear may completely change how you see this case forever. Think of what your action means.
These new AI channels really make me mad, and I just don't understand how people can just sit and watch them and not, like, I just crave the human connection, and it just doesn't feel human.
One subscribe means one more voice demanding justice. One like means one more person joining Amy Bradley's fight.
Also, we know that they have all these new things overseas where they're forcing people to, it's like, it's the new sweatshop, right? Content creation. So
someone looked closer at her photo. That's when everything changed, because the woman who vanished looked exactly like Amy Lynn Bradley, the young American who disappeared from a cruise ship more than 2 decades ago. Investigators, journalists, and even locals couldn't believe their eyes. How could a face lost to history suddenly reappear halfway across the world? But here's where the story takes an even stranger turn. Just when everyone thought Amy's case was fading into memory, this new sighting has reignited a mystery the world thought was over. The woman was last seen near a bus station, nervous, avoiding eye contact, and holding a small black bag. Witnesses claim she seemed afraid, as if someone was following her. When police tried to trace her, she was gone, vanished again, just like Amy did years ago. Was it really her? Or was this another cruel coincidence in a story already filled with heartbreak?
I think a lot of it is that people don't realize it's AI. Shannon actually had sent me a few things, like, you know, those videos of the animals jumping on the trampoline. Well, I was like, that's AI. And then the new AI thing is there's like a animal, like one animal's on one side of the sliding door and another smaller animal's on the other, and the smaller animal's going crazy and, you know, barking or meowing, hissing, whatever at the bigger one. And then they open the door, and then, you know, the little one's like, what? That's AI too. And she's like, damn it. She's like, can we do a video live where we try to help people figure out what's AI and what's not? But she put it towards paranormal, because her and I do the paranormal, the Highly Strange Days on Sunday. And I was like, yeah, so that's what we're working on, how you can tell AI paranormal videos and, you know, like what AI is bringing us. And but I mean, you can apply it to true crime too, I would imagine, right? I just wanted to pop down here and just see what people are saying. Okay, rubbish. That person gets it. If this is made up, shame on you. Well, is it Amy? So yeah. What's up with your AI guy? He keeps repeating himself. Asterisk. LOL. Feels like Biden. Yeah. So people got that it was AI, but it's so interesting, and it's interesting that it's the Bradley family is saying that it's hindering. Let's keep going and let's do this interview. Nate from East Idaho News, which I really like Nate. He's already doing his Secret Santa things. He's got my feelies and tears going already, and it's not even Thanksgiving, but he's been out doing his Secret Santa stuff. And I appreciate people that think of others. I was listening to this motivation thing, and it was like, your cup runneth over, and the whole point of your cup runneth over is so that you can help others, and especially if your cup is runneth over, that's especially the time to get out there and help others. And I feel like Nate is one of those people who has a cup runneth over and is out there helping others. And good for him.
Bradley and Tom, a man who dated Amy Bradley several years ago. Before we get going, gentlemen, Brad, I have to ask you about, is your real name Brad Bradley? Because I didn't last time, and I got so many people that asked me. So can we clear up that rumor right now?
Yeah, I'd love to. Story of my life. But first of all, thanks for having me back on. So I'm named after my dad. So I'm Ronald Lane Bradley Jr. And the story goes, when they brought me to my mom after she had delivered me and handed me to her, she said she looked down and said, he looks like a Brad. So I suppose she wasn't thinking too much about what her last name was at that time. But I think she just had a sense that I didn't.
It's like a name you're not going to forget. So, she did do that for him.
Maybe look like a Ronald, even though they wanted to name me after Dad. So Brad's always been a nickname from the very beginning that kind of just stuck. So that's what I've gone by. Yeah,
and it's very memorable. So glad that we could clear that up. Tom, I want to ask you a couple questions as we get going here. This is
absolutely
the first time that you've spoken publicly about this, but I would imagine that Amy Bradley and the circumstances going back several decades are something that you have thought about quite a bit over the years.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, I think about Amy every day since she's disappeared. I still have all the stuff that I accumulated and she gave me and gifted me. And, I've kept that with me all these years. So, I think about her every day. It was really hard to think about her being out there wanting somebody that was close to her and knew care about her. Not being able to find her and help her. So yeah, it worries me, and it's been on my mind for the last 27 years. This is the first public interview that I've done, but I did spend a lot of time with the producers from Ample Entertainment. They flew me out to Culver City, and I spent an entire day with them at their not production office, but the set that they use to do their interviews out in California.
So they were aware.
But they chose not to use any of that.
That was my next question. They were aware, and you had spent a lot of time with them. They were aware that you had been in a relationship with Amy.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you think you weren't brought into the documentary?
I guess I just didn't fit the narrative or the direction that they wanted to go. The feedback that I got from Ari Mark and both Phil Lott when they interviewed me was real positive. They appreciated my time. I did a phone interview with Ari prior to setting the appointment.
Do you feel like they wanted to leave it open-ended? Because one of the big things they did focus on, and it seems like the whole world is focusing on, is that Amy Bradley was a lesbian or bisexual or whatever. But she had, like, in the docuseries, she had like 2 or 3 full-on female relationships. And I just wonder, is this boyfriend gay now? I just, he's like, it's so hard to talk about people's sexuality without people like yelling at you, because I'm not a homophobe. I'm just like, I just want to talk about sexuality and not be, like it doesn't matter and it doesn't matter. But I just get like, I have gaydar, and I just feel like maybe this guy might be gay. So I just feel like Amy was gay. Like, I don't feel like I think eventually Amy would have figured out that she's gay. I think that was the direction she was going in. And I just wonder about him.
California.
Not that it matters.
So, I talked to him for about 45 minutes, and I just went through how I met Amy, how we started dating, what we did in January, what we did in February, where we were at March, where she, ultimately went on the cruise, what I was doing, and what I did when I found out Amy had disappeared. And I covered all that. I talked to both Ari and Phil. I got there at 10 in the morning. I left a little after 3 o'clock. So I was there in their set location for 5 hours.
Well, you told them, but we didn't get a chance to hear that. So let me ask you, how did you meet Amy? Walk us through when you guys met and what the early stages of that relationship were like.
Well, we both worked at the same restaurant in Richmond, Virginia, out in Midlothian. It was a high-end steak and chop house. I had been working there for a couple of years. Amy started as a food runner there, and we just became work friends. And I got to know her from just the day-to-day of working with her. So that's how we came to be friends and originally get to know each other. Then there was the time came where it was Christmas, and that's the busiest time of the year in the restaurant business with all the Christmas parties, especially working at a real popular high-end shop house. It just got to the point where we were seeing each other on a regular basis at work. And she approached me one day and said, "Hey, listen, are you going to the They're going to the holiday Christmas party?" And we had a holiday Christmas party on December 22nd. And she wanted to know if I was going. And I said, yeah, I don't know. I got to work that night. The restaurant closed early, so the folks that were working could go to the holiday party, but we were still open, and I was working, and I was on the fence on going. So this was probably about 2 weeks before the party, and she just wouldn't. She was relentless about it. She was just like, "I'm going to get a yes out of you. You're definitely going to go." And I'm like, Amy, I don't know if I want to go or not. And ultimately, she kind of put her foot down and said, "I expect to see you there when you get off of work." So that's the night we really kind of took our friendship to the next direction. So I got there. Amy wasn't there. I was hanging out with just other friends' work. This was a big restaurant. They had quite a few employees. It was a really large company. And so I was just hanging out, catching up. And then Amy walks in, and she was wearing this long black dress. And I'd never seen her with makeup on. She had makeup and bright red lipstick, and she looked high heels on, and she looked fantastic. And she came right over to me and pulled me out on the dance floor, and we danced, and then we just hung out together the rest of the night. So that's how the relationship started.
That's the night we consummated it.
Walked her to her car when it was time to go home, and she slid me her phone number and asked me to call her, and she gave me a kiss goodnight, and then I called her the next day.
I took it too far.
From that point on, we started seeing each other on a pretty regular basis right up until the cruise.
So, and the fact that you worked together too, I'm sure you saw each other quite a bit.
Yeah, we worked different. Well, that was the neat thing about it is that I worked a different schedule than Amy. I had.
So it sounds like Amy might have been a bit of a player because the girlfriend was, helping her pack. So to go on the cruise, wasn't she?
A management administrative position at the restaurant. I didn't work on the dining room floor very often. I was a substitute manager when managers needed to go on vacation or, had an emergency or whatever, and I covered on holidays and busy nights and things like that. At the time, I was doing I had other roles that I did.
To me, if she was being a player, I doubt that she would have jumped off the ship. She had a boyfriend, she had a girlfriend, she got a new puppy, she had a new apartment. I just don't think she jumped, or she was either, if she's dead, she was pushed or taken off the ship and unalived, or taken off the ship and trafficked
at the restaurant. And so I didn't see her a lot, like actually during shift work. I would catch her coming in as I was leaving. So we started this friendship that in the parking lot where she'd show up, to come into work, and I'd be leaving, and we'd stand out and talk in the parking lot for 10, 15 minutes. And that's how we really got to know each other. And
Right.
then she'd go to work and I'd go home.
So you
But-
guys start dating end of the year around Christmas time.
Yeah. So we spent all of the Christmas party, and that was the 22nd. We went on our first date on the 23rd. I went to lunch with her the next day. And then, we had, everybody's busy at the end of the year, particularly during Christmas. The next time I saw Amy was on Christmas evening. After she did her family Christmas with Brad, Ron, and Ira, and I did my family Christmas with my family in Richmond. I went over to her house where she was living with 3 roommates, and one of her roommates worked at the restaurant with us, and hung out there, and that was the start. We had to work through the rest of the week because you go straight from Christmas into New Year's Eve, and then we went on our first really nice date on January 2nd. We went to a really nice Italian restaurant in Richmond, and then went and saw Chicago, the Broadway Under the Stars series they had in Richmond at the time.
Yeah.
We went to the theater.
Talk about what happened in January, February, March. I mean, did the relationship progress and you guys were still seeing each other pretty seriously?
Yeah. I saw Amy probably 3-4 days a week. Some nights Amy was real old fashioned. She wanted me to plan things to do. It wasn't like just go out and hang out, or just go out and drink at a bar, or, just pick her up for dinner. She wanted me to plan things, so I had to be creative. And if she didn't like doing something, she was flat out telling me, well, we're not doing that. But, one thing I want to point out is that I'm 8 years older than Amy. So I was 31 when I started dating Amy.
Dang.
And so I ran in kind of a different social circle than she did at that time. And so the one thing about us dating is that
I remember I started dating somebody that was 32 when I was 27, and I felt like I was dating an older guy, and Amy was in her young 20s, young 20s. Wow.
did things that were new to her or different for her than she was accustomed to doing with her friends from college. So, we did, I don't know, more grown-up kind of dates, if that's a thing. But, I was more accustomed to going out to dinner and doing things that were romantic, and going to see shows and going to see
bands. It would make sense because Amy had graduated from college. She had just gotten this new job, a new apartment. So she was moving on to that next stage in her life.
And, we did the things that she liked to do too. I mean, she was, big on karaoke, loved to go out and play pool. And we would do those things. We'd factor those things into our nights. But a lot of times, I would make plans to do something, and I would, get real creative and come up with a real cool date. And I'd get there to pick her up, and she'd call an audible and go, hey, my brother's in town. So we're going to go meet up with him and his girlfriend, Erin. He was dating Erin at the time. Or, hey, I want you to come meet my parents. We're all going to go out and have drinks after we go to dinner, things like that. So, we made road trips. We went out of town. We went to the Outer Banks a couple of times.
But was he her beard? There's that possibility too.
I'm originally from Williamsburg, Virginia. I had a lot of friends and family still down in that area. So we would make the 45-minute drive from Richmond down to Williamsburg and hang out with my friends. We just did a lot of fun things. We went out of town. We went up to DC a number of times. We planned dates and did it and traveled and had a lot of fun together.
Okay. So that's the boyfriend. Let's go forward and see if they start talking about the case a little bit.
What are you doing with me? She goes, I like who I like. Do you have a problem? Over the time when we were just friends, it's the restaurant business. The restaurant business is full of the rumor mills. Everybody talks. It's a very social work environment. I don't know if you've ever worked in a restaurant or not, but you become kind of a family. You develop cliques and friends, and you go out after work together and things like that. And I had heard that Amy was a lesbian, and I never gave it much thought. And because I just liked hanging out with her, I liked her a lot as a person. I found her really attractive, and just funny. Amy had a great.
I mean, it's quite possible she's bi. Obviously, she's bi if she was dating a woman and a man. I mean, when I remember in college, one of my friends, she had made this big to do about coming out to her family. She had like come out to her family. And then the year I was friends with her, she had this group of lesbian friends that would come onto the campus and visit her. But then she met this guy at this other, we were in a sort, like I said, I lived in a co-ed house. It was like men and women, but it was a Greek house. Or it was once a sorority that went co-ed. Okay, so in this other house, in an actual other house that was a fraternity, she fell in love with this guy, and so she went back to dating men, and she ended up having his baby, getting married. Now I think they're divorced, but stuff happens.
Sense of humor. She was always cracking jokes, and kind of the center of attention. So we were out on a date, but this whole thing happened with Christmas and the Christmas party, and I was like, oh, so I didn't want to say anything or ask her about it because I didn't want to mess anything up. I liked how the direction of this relationship was going. Mm-hmm. And it came to be that we were out one night sitting at a bar, and we were sitting on the corner. So I'm sitting in one angle and she's sitting in the other, and we're talking, and another woman came over and got her attention, and she excused herself. She goes, hey, listen, I'll be right back. And so she walked over to the corner of the restaurant, and I could see them, they were in eye shot, and they had a 2-minute conversation. Amy came back over, and I go, hey, what was that all about? She goes, oh, I used to date her. And I said, oh, well, what are you doing with me? She goes, I like who I like. Do you have a problem with that? And Brad's laughing because she was super direct like that. And I said, no, it's cool. I totally get it. And things were going well. And we had a real normal boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. Amy was very attentive, very affectionate, very loving, very thoughtful to me. And I felt super comfortable with her. So I didn't give it much thought after that. And it never came up again.
I wanted to ask you just said boyfriend, girlfriend. So you would consider her your girlfriend. She would have considered you her boyfriend.
Yeah. She introduced me to people.
That's so interesting. And Netflix left this all out.
As her boyfriend.
As her boyfriend.
And okay. I introduced her as my girlfriend. And I took her out for Valentine's Day. And, it just goes to prove over and over again, you can't, the docuseries and stuff, they're great. Yeah, it's great to watch, but you can't trust them because it's just somebody's mind putting it together the way they want you to see it, and that you've got to go beyond that and investigate more. We dated.
Did you go all out for Valentine's Day? Do you remember what you did?
Yeah, sure. So I did. So I pulled some strings, and there was another really high-end shop house in town that was kind of our big competitor. It was a friendly rivalry. And I knew the owners and I knew the GM. So I called them and I said, hey, I know it's Valentine's Day, busiest restaurant day of the year, but can I get a reservation? They're like, yeah, sure. So they totally hooked us up. I picked up Amy from her apartment. We have pictures of us together on more than one occasion. Doing things together, and I picked her up, and she actually wore the same outfit that she's wearing.
Well, they certainly look like boyfriend. They certainly look like they're together. And in this one, the placement of his hand on, yeah. I don't think he was a beard. They do appear to be together.
Between any of us. There was no arguments ever. Amy and I never had a crossword in my entire life. So that the narrative that got put out there.
I have to say, I think it's a bunch of bunk about the family and the homophobia. And I certainly think in the 90s, homophobia was alive and ripe. So there was probably a certain amount of it, as much as it was around in the 90s. If you weren't there in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it's really hard to explain. Being gay was a worse thing for you. But if you think about it, wasn't it just in the 60s and 50s they were going in and arresting gay people in bars and stuff and hauling them away and putting them in jail? So, I mean, that was just around the corner in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And it's, quite frankly, still just around the corners. It can like go back to that any day if we don't like protect people's rights. But I'm just saying it was a different time. And I do believe that there was probably some disappointment, like, because they probably thought back then too, like if you were gay, there was no way for you to produce grandkids like that. They thought that was the parents thought that was the end of that. But, look the way fertility's moved along and adoption. And I remember there was a time where Elton John was trying to adopt kids, and because he was with a man, he couldn't get any kids to adopt anywhere. So it was just different times.
On how her sexuality was presented on the Netflix series was unfortunate. Again, not because that doesn't tell part of her story, but that it doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't tell for Tom to be left out completely with the feelings that they shared for each other and the time they spent together. I think painted a picture that was chosen not to present the whole story, and people have taken that and run with it. And there's the one I guess I'd call particularly disgruntled ex-girlfriend in the series who made it seem like my I guess more so my dad than my mom was had a big problem with it. But there was absolutely none of it. I mean, the day before she disappeared, Amy's on Dad's back in the water on Aruba for half an hour or so, and we're playing and laughing, and there's just no truth to it. So,
I mean, there could be a real possibility too that Amy told the girlfriend that there was a problem because she wanted to make it an easier breakup. Like, sorry, my parents don't like it. Gotta go, right? I remember blaming so much shit on my mom. Like, can't do it. My mom won't let me, but not even asking her, right? So there could be some of that too, that the disgruntled girlfriend has, that Amy lied to her.
We've because of how it was presented on Netflix, and the fact, the biggest problem I had with it to begin with was that her sexuality has absolutely nothing to do with what happened to her. But
I agree.
If people find it important enough to talk about, I think all of it should be talked about, which is
I agree.
Why Tom's sitting with us here today.
That's a great point. I mean, they didn't even mention it. They didn't even mention that she had a boyfriend. It was like Amy came out, had all these girlfriends. The parents didn't like it.
Yeah, Amy.
That's basically how Netflix set it up for us.
Amy was as confident as they come. She had no qualms about who she was or what she liked or who she was with. So again, I think although we're going to be grateful for what the documentary did for Amy and her name and her story around the world and all this attention that it's brought, I think it was unfortunate that, a person like Tom, who has, never had anything but wonderful things to say about Amy and me and my family, and it just was completely cut. It bothered us quite a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm here today, because, when Brad and the Bradleys, Brad, Ron, and I've all got an advanced preview of the Netflix special, and I got a text from Brad the day right after they saw it. He goes, "Hey man, you're not in it." And I'm like, well, it's not about me, and it's all about Amy. At least they're getting Amy's story out there. And that was the goal of the whole thing. But the reason, I've been talking to Brad ever since and Ron and I, ever since the Netflix special came out, and Brad has been representing the family amazingly, but he's been spending way too much time defending Amy and her sexuality and her mental health, when people really need to be focusing on trying to find her and trying to find out what happened to her and the truth, instead of him wasting, an hour or two every week.
I love what they're doing here. They're being very classy about it. Like, we're just over all of this, right? And I feel like Netflix set it up almost so that this would be a big discussion. It's so interesting. Why do you think they would drop the boyfriend? Or do you think it would have been just too time consuming to put him in there and then have to explain it. I don't know. No, I think it's the other way around. I think they did it to throw a wrench. But also, it probably would be time consuming to add that she also had a boyfriend, and then how could they introduce one of the theories that she jumped because the parents were mad she was gay? Like, that throws a complete wrench in it.
Rebutting these podcasts that got the story wrong. And we need to change the focus. And that's why, I decided that, I would come on with Brad today and try to clear some things up. I was aware that Amy dated girls. It didn't matter to me. She liked me because she liked who she liked. She flat out told me. We had a normal relationship. We did normal boyfriend, girlfriend things. I dated her the entire month of January, entire month of February. And then at the end of February, I changed jobs. I stopped seeing her as much, but I still saw her. I wasn't seeing her, 3-4 times a week, like we were in January and February. I saw her in March. I spent time with her all the way up till the week before the cruise. And I was fully expecting to get a postcard or a phone call or something from her, and it never came. So, and I got the news that she had disappeared. So I had changed my focus. I left the job that I had in Williamsburg. I worked with a family for a couple of months, just making myself available to help them in any way, shape, or form. And then finally, eventually I couldn't continue down that path because I had bills to pay and rent to pay and things like that. So I ended up having to go back to work. But, it was really important that I made myself available to help the Bradleys because they were devastated that Amy was gone.
So it sounds like he supported the family even after all of this. So we're going to stop it there. So some of the basic updates the major updates on Amy, there was, and I reported this last time, that there was a Barbados website hit. It was a very significant digital hit was logged on Amy's missing person website. It traced to a device located in or near Barbados, a location tied to multiple past possible sightings. Investigators consider this one of the strongest news signals since the case began. And I think it came on a major anniversary, and the person spent major time, like an hour or so, going through the site. We've just learned that the senorita kidnapped, that's a false, that they can't find the woman that said that. But a woman who worked as a bar server on the ship came forward. She claims that on the night Amy disappeared, she heard a man shout, "Senorita kidnapped." This lines up with Amy's vanishing during early morning hours just after the ship docked in Curacao. But we just learned through the brother that they can't find the woman who actually said it. They have not located her yet to validate that. And then there's the ever popular that hasn't been validated either, the possible child connected to Amy. One of the new leads suggests that Amy may have had a child after her disappearance. This claim came from a witness investigators took seriously enough to pursue. So if verified, it could change the entire direction of the case, but it's not been verified. The case is still wide open with the FBI, and there's been all this renewed public interest since the Netflix docuseries. I wanted to show you. Have you been playing our Power Brain that we do over in the community section of our show? It's a trivia game that I like to play. I remember going to the movie theater and sitting and watching, waiting for the movie to start and playing the trivia, or we would go on vacation and playing Trivia Pursuit. So it's always been one of my more favorite games. And so to introduce lives or shows or whatever, I'll throw up a power brain, and we do the left side logic, the right side is lore. Like this is an example of today's left side logic. Which major piece of evidence has remained one of the biggest questions in the Amy Bradley case? And then I'll give you the multiple choice, and then you can just guess. And then down below, if you get it right or wrong, I can't guess because obviously I created it, but and I guess I'm giving away the answer today, but anyway, it'll tell you the answer down there. And I like to play it. Here's a few other ones. This side was left side logic. I usually do the right side. I save the right side for Sundays when we do the paranormal, or sometimes I'll do logic and lore. And I did something fun where we have a merch collab with Dreamland Art, and she put up a shirt for me. I think it's been there for about a month. I can't wait to get it. I'm getting a little extra cash, and so I'm gonna get a Power Brain trivia because I just really think it's a fun thing. And if you are interested in trivia, I urge you to play along with us. And if you're really interested in it, you can get a trivia shirt. It's a Power Brain shirt. When I get it, I'll be sure to show you it. It has the Power Brain logo, and then it has our Power Network logo on the inside. So, and it goes up to 3X. I'll put the link for the store if you're interested in the show notes and down in chat, and you can check it out if you're interested. And if you're into trivia like I am, be sure to play along with us. And you got the first one wrong. Well, it's hard for me to play. And also a little side note to the Power Crew, I will often bury clues down deep into like the post. I will put it down like towards the end, so that like a little hint if you need a hint. I did one yesterday that was pretty hard, and I was like, man, I should have put a hint down below. So sometimes if they're harder, I'll throw a little hint in there, but you got to read it all. And I know my Power Crew reads it all, so I just kind of put it in there for you guys. But there is the link if you want to check it out. And yeah. We also have other things in the store that's fun. Somebody asked for larger sizes, so we got a pink one up, a pink one with our logo on there. We've got some t-shirts. There's also some hats. If you're into hats, we've got some hats. I can't wait to get a hat. We've got some beanies, and there are, there's the beanies. And then we've got some cute mugs, and we've got all different colors. So if you wanted to get a set or something, and they're on the inside, I wanted to make sure there was something interesting. So there's some color on the inside for you. And then there's totes. So if you are interested in any particular merch, let me know. Also, if you're an artist and you're interested in doing a collab, hit me up and maybe we can do something. And so, yeah. You got yesterday's right. Like a lot of people missed yesterday. I think I made yesterday's a little hard. I would show you yesterday's, but then you would see the answer to it. Like I just showed you the answer to today's. But anyway, I have a lot of fun. I'm thinking about doing a bingo game too, because I like playing bingo. And I was over on Jay's channel, her new one, Every Day with Jay, and she plays Bajingo. We'd have to make it something power related, like Power Bingo or something, you know, and do the cases that we cover all the time, like hidden true crime, power bingo, and you shuffle up what you will watch a video, and what, we put law and crime in one slot, and they're typical things, we're hidden true crime. We don't do drama. There are slogans. And then when you hit the bingo, if you get it, then you hit power bingo or something like that. We're going to do something like that. It's a working idea. So if you have any ideas, let me know. My email is scrolling across the screen along with my Cash App, Parawomen. The email is parawomenradio@gmail.com. The women is plural, so that means it's MEN. We're plural. We're more than one woman here. So if you're interested in anything, or if you're interested in a case or anything like that, just let me know and I'll see what I can do for you. Thank you, Kim, for coming in and moderating for me. I really, really appreciate it. And there is the email up on the screen. I'm going to head out, you guys. We're doing a Florida woman. What is today? Today's Thursday, right? Yeah. Tomorrow we're doing Florida Woman Friday. I'm probably going to do a quiz and let you guys choose, because we've got Sarah Boone and Donna Adelson that we need to update on. There's also the Aileen Warnos story, and then there's the neighbor next door story. So, and those are all 4 Florida cases. So I'll probably put something up in the morning asking you which one. I have a feeling it's going to be Sarah Boone and Donna. I might put those together. I don't know, but I have a feeling it's going to be those 2. But anyway, it's going to be your choice for Florida Woman Friday. And I'm going to head out, you guys. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Kim, for moderating. Thank you, Carrie28, for hanging out with us. And thank you, Zenjen, and I don't know, I think a few other came through. If I'm missing you, I'm so sorry. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. If you're just hanging out in the Ether region, the Netherlands, we appreciate you. Let me know, too, if you like the vertical or horizontal, or if you don't care, because you can just maneuver to which site, whichever one you want to, or if it's a pain in the butt when you come. Like, I imagine people I'm going to get that they don't like the horizontal. I imagine that. But I don't know. Like, is it a pain in the butt if you land on the horizontal that you want to run, you want to just leave? You don't want to take the time to go over to the vertical, or it just doesn't matter? Like, I don't care. Okay, guys, I'm going to go for realsies. If nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I'm still going to tell you guys this. I love you guys so, so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you.
Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps me go out into the algorithm party out there. Bring more people back to the party. It's just a free way to help me out.
With you tonight, and it feels fine, feels fine. Baby, I'm dancing